Yeah, the field was a little wet, and it was a little wet yesterday. We were slipping all over the place, so it's good to have turf. That's one reason why it's good to have it and got some good work in.
What worries you the most about this week's matchup?
Well, particularly defensively, all the stuff that they do, we got to have really good eye discipline. They do so many motions and shifts and formations, and with young players, you got to make sure they're disciplined and get their eyes in the right spot.
The last 3 weeks of your schedule have been pretty grueling. Each matchup got more important, the implications got bigger. With an Oregon State team coming in that statistically hasn't been as strong as some of the others, do you worry about an emotional or motivational drop-off for this weekend?
This shouldn't be, because for us there's still a lot at stake. Certainly, with our status in the league and our bowl status, and then on top of that, the seniors' last home game, so it's a big week for us.
Can you believe it's the last home game already?
I know, it's amazing, and I wish we had one or two more, but it's gone by really quickly. It's been a fun team to coach, and they've given really good effort so far.
Besides working on Oregon State's scheme, their motions, and all that stuff that you mentioned, is there any other particular focus on defense this week, given some of the issues that you've had in the last few weeks?
Yeah, we've got to recognize things a little bit, trigger things a little bit quicker when we see it, and then obviously we got to get more guys to the ball. Our tackling has been okay. We didn't tackle well in the last game, but we got to get more guys around, and we got to get them on the ground. They got big, punishing running backs, and it's been an issue for us, those kind of players. And frankly, we got to get to them a little bit quicker and get them on the ground faster.
With so many freshmen on defense, do you have any concerns at all about them hitting the so-called freshman wall?
Yeah, yeah, of course, and I've had concerns about it. But even before the season starts, so what's going to happen is these guys get through and at the end of the year with an 8-game straight stretch, and some of them on the road and late night games, getting back late. And so we've tried to manage that with our reps in practice. We try to manage that with the length of practice, and the energy seems to still be pretty good. But in the last 3 games, certainly that's going to be something we're watching closely.
Outside of tackling well this Saturday, what other things are you focusing on for Oregon State?
Well, offensively, it's execution-wise. I mean, they do some stuff that's a little bit different than other folks, so we got to get ready for that. We got to be able to throw the football certainly when they outnumber us in the box, and then special teams. We got to get a little bit better in all those units. We've been okay, but the punt team is had a poor performance last week, and we got to get better at that.
What would you like to see out of Khalil on Saturday?
Just running the offense. Don't force the issue. Don't try to do too much too soon. I mean, he has big playability, of course, and throwing and running, but he's got to let the game come to him a little bit and not panic. And not that he did last week, but more than anything else, just run the offense.
How much of what happened last week is just his competitive nature?
Oh, I think that happens to a lot of guys. That's even on defense. You'll see something, you want to make a play, and you gotta use your ability within what the scheme calls for. And Khalil especially, I mean, he's good enough that when he does that, he could be pretty special.
He was really emotional after the USC game. Did you speak to him afterwards?
No, I didn't see that. I think a lot of guys were. For him, it was really important because it was back home and a lot of guys he played against. But winning's important to him, and that's the way he should be.
So they had a midseason coaching change at Oregon State. Obviously, what sort of effect has that had, do you think, on the way they've gone about playing these games?
They played really hard. I played, they played with a lot of freedom. It looks like they're doing, you could expect every trick in the book. And there's a lot of, I'm not saying they wouldn't have done it before, but now it's almost like they're let's throw everything out there and have some fun with it. And you got to give those players and that staff a lot of credit. They've played good football. They hadn't won, but the Stanford game very easily. The last 2 games they've played, it was down to the last second, and they had every bit of a chance to win it.
How much does the scout team deserve credit for your guys' success this year?
Well, they've done a great job, and I think the GAs, our graduate assistants that run the scout teams, deserve a lot of credit too. Our 4 GAs do a phenomenal job, and the players have bought into everybody playing a role in the success of the team.
Is there anybody that excites you about? Obviously, there's a lot of guys that are on scholarship on the scout team. Is there anybody that excites you about next year and what the potential could be?
Yeah, there of that 47 freshmen. I think there's 17 that have played, and there's probably a few more that will play in the next few weeks. But there's I don't want to give out names, but there's 10 or 12 of them that are being redshirted that will be competing for jobs certainly in the spring.
So your running backs had 15 carries against USC. Would you like to see that number a little bit higher?
Yeah, it really depends how people are playing us, but normally that is a really low number for us. So you know, we've got to get those guys going a little bit. And we had limited possessions in that last game, particularly in the first half. But again, we've got some good backs. We've got to get them going a little bit.
So you get a couple senior defensive linemen who've kind of really toiled in the trenches for you over the years, in Luca Bruno and Parker Zellers. What have those guys meant to the program?
They've been great. You know, the way they've worked each and every year, their attitude is just as good as it could be. I mean, selfless, work hard. What do you need, coach? And have really battled, competed. Parker obviously came as a walk-on, and has been a great story. And then Luca has made himself a better player every year. I'm really proud of him.
So Luca's had to overcome injuries. Can you just describe for people how little fun that is to go into training and rehab and all that stuff?
Yeah, you work so hard to play, and then you get banged up, and the worst thing for them is to sit and watch. Any guy's a competitor, they want to be out there playing, and being injured, you know, sometimes they feel like maybe, you know, that they're forgotten about. We certainly don't want that to ever be the case, but they've worked. Parker and Luca have had a few injuries, but they've worked hard to overcome them.
So a couple guys were mentioning yesterday how good of a leader DeAndre Miller is, how positive he is all the time. Have you noticed that as well?
Yeah, DeAndre's been great helping the young guys. You know, he's another guy that's been banged up, and I'm glad he's healthy now. But our seniors, everyone to a man, have helped, not just the guys they've been playing with, but all the new guys that we've got, and you got to give them a lot of credit.